Welcome back to First Year in Medical Device Sales. I am your host, Jacob McLaughlin, coming to you all today on a beautiful cloudy day in Scottsdale, which we don't see very often, but excited to be bringing you all a podcast. And I wanted to make today's podcast because I've been getting a lot of messages about, hey, I really enjoyed the lunch session that you did, but can you talk about like dinners? And so I wanted to make one just about that. But before I go in there, I just want to just take a moment and just say thank you all for all of the messages. It's so much fun getting the messages from you all, messaging me, just saying how this has been helpful, that it's already making a difference in your career, that people are using it, utilizing it, and you're actually seeing the results from the podcast. And so I just want you all to know that is so much fun for me. The whole goal is just to continue to put out value for you all so it continues to help you progress in your career. I'm so glad that it's helpful. So thank you so much for all the messages. If you guys haven't, you can follow me on LinkedIn at Jacob McLaughlin. We also have our new medical device sales, but I just really appreciate everything that you're all doing because again, been there, done that. And all I'm hoping to do is hopefully make it a little easier and you have success a lot faster than I did. Even though we had a lot of success fast, I'd rather watch you do it even quicker. So it's even more fun. But I wanted to go into having dinners. And so why I wanted to make one just about dinners compared to lunches is if you think about, a lot of you will understand doing like a breakfast, a coffee run, a lunch, right? A lot of the times with that is it's a lot less stressful. It's a lot more like chill environment. And what I mean by that is you're usually in the office with staff, right? So when you're in office with staff, a lot of times you'll bring a coffee or you'll bring them like bagels or whatever you're going to bring them. And then it's them talking. You get to have the conversation with them. And then usually guess who comes in? The doctor. Sometimes the doctor will just talk to you by themselves. Or a lot of the times from my experiences, they're going to sit there with the staff and you're going to talk to them while the staff's sitting there staring at you, watching you, and you guys are all eating and hanging out. And the reason I say that is it's usually a more nonchalant area of like, hey, they're in their workspace. There's other people watching them. But the other thing I want you to think about is if you got to think about yourself, sometimes it can be hard for these surgeons and these doctors to be able to step away and really give you all the focus because a lot of the times what they're going to be doing is seeing you between patients. They're going from a person to person to person to person with a lunch. They're going to come see you. Then they go back to all the people that they actually have to see. They have staff that's going to be there. They have things that they're worried about. There's a lot of stuff on their mind. And so the reason I'm just telling you that is a lot of times a lunch is a great opportunity to just get your foot in the door, get a conversation, get talking to them, and hopefully get a trial set up. That's the goal. But sometimes it's not going to happen off of that one. And sometimes you have to look at doing a dinner. Now, the one thing I'll sit here and tell you guys is when I was at Medtronic and I was doing like OBGYN, I wasn't doing a lot of dinners with my OBGYNs. And the reason why was a lot of them had families that they were actually being with. They were mothers a lot of times, even fathers, but a lot of them were women and that they were actually with their family. So I wasn't always being able to like, hey, let's go out to dinner. They didn't have a lot of the time because a lot of them ran their own practices, plus ran a family, plus all the stuff, right? The reason I'm saying that is, you get into ortho, I hear about it all the time. It's like they're going out to dinners and having beers with people all the time, right? So there's just understand every place is a little different. But what I will say is then when I was with Innovis and we started working with like other companies and med device companies and other stuff, then we were doing dinners. I am entertaining people. We are having those conversations to then have bigger conversations in the future about possible deals. And so what I wanted to really give you a lot of value about is how are you going to run a dinner compared to a lunch, right? So a lunch, we talked about like do the easy cater, have it all scheduled. You show up, ask what the staff wants, you get in, great. Now you're going to go have lunch with them and you're going to go talk with the surgeon. But with a dinner, how do you really want to set that up? So a couple of the notes that I wanted to just share with you all today that I hope are extremely helpful is number one for the setting. I want you to think professional. What I mean by that is a lot of people will be like, oh, these guys they're just chill people. We can just go have a beer at Cold Beers and Cheeseburgers like here in Arizona, right? Now, here's the truth. This is where you got to kind of feel the doctor. But again, once you go in there, it's a more nonchalant setting. They might be more chill, but also guess what doctors like? Normally the finer things in life. So if you, with your company, can take them and go to a nice dinner at a nice steakhouse or a nice seafood place or a nice Italian place or a very nice setting, it usually can set you apart just for the fact of like, hey, we're going to go give them an experience as well while we get to have the conversation. So that's one thing I'm going to just tell you is like from my experience, we always went and found a very nice professional setting because you got to think about it. If you go to a Cold Beers and Cheeseburgers, for example, or like a bar, guess what it is? It's loud. People are yelling. They're watching the sports games. They're screaming. Now you almost brought them right back into an environment where they're not focused. Now you're right back into an environment where you might not get to know them very well. And so the reason I'm just saying that is that's why go into a professional setting when you're going into like a nice restaurant. Guess what it normally is? It's a beautiful ambiance. It's got nice food. It's a great experience. And guess what? You can actually hear the person you're talking to, so you can actually get to know them. So that's a big piece of it. So once you're like looking at a place to go, I normally will suggest go to a professional setting. Hey, Jacob, it might be a little more money. Yes, but you have to understand, you're working with surgeons. Most surgeons want to go to nicer places, right? That's what I would encourage you all. Now, this is something that I see a lot of people struggle with and I get a lot of messages about is topics with surgeons. So we talk about this with a lot of the people that we work with and in my experience when I was a first year rep and I was just trying to figure things out, guess what I would do a lot of times? Just start selling right away. You're all excited. Oh my gosh, got the opportunity. Now I'm sitting with Dr. whoever and now I'm going to try to sell them because now they're just listening to me. My friends, please do not do that. Don't try to sell them right away because guess what? Now you just made the whole dinner awkward. So the reason I'm just saying that is the best dinners that I've ever had that have led to big deals and that have actually turned into things is because you go in, you find a great place that has a great setting, you get great food, and then guess what you do? You be a human being. You just talk to them. Now, the reason I have this written down and I smile every time I put it is I am a huge Office fan. And if you guys have watched The Office at all, you will know that there was a deal that Michael Scott was working on that was very big with Jan, and they went to Chili's and they were with the person who is the decision maker. And what happened in that, if you haven't, I'm going to be a spoiler alert, is the whole time Jan was trying to sell to him and Michael would be like, Jan, not now. He would be like, no. He was just getting to know the person, making them relatable. They were liking each other. They were having a great conversation and they shut down the place. They stayed there for so long because they had a great time. And then guess what Michael did? Then he went in for the close, got the deal. And then if you know the story, he kissed Jan, things got weird. All right. So that has nothing to do with med device sales, but why I want you guys to hear that and why it's such a good example is because so many people will come in and they'll try to sell. Because guess what? You're in medical device sales. It's your job to sell the surgeon. It's your job to sell right now. You guys, you're going to a restaurant that's going to be appetizers, main dish, some drinks probably, maybe some dessert. Right? That's going to be anywhere from like 45 to an hour and a half dinner. That's what you're hoping for at least, right? So if you just go start selling that person right away, like what the heck is going on? That's number one. Number two, we talk about this all the time. What do you want the surgeon to know about you? You want them to know that you're an actual person, that you're a human being, that they can relate with you. You need to have the surgeons be like, you're a great rep, but you want to know when you start winning is when they understand who you are as a person, right? Because again, if I just worked for Innovis or I just worked for Medtronic like I did and that was it, I was just the rep. Now I'm just the rep. But once they were like, oh, you're Jacob. Oh, you have a dog. Oh, you do this. Oh, you go hiking. Oh, once they started to humanize me, that's when things get a lot more real. So the reason I'm just saying that is like when I would go have these conversations with these surgeons and these doctors and we were at dinners with the decision makers, I'm just getting to know them, getting to know about their life, getting to know about, they will tell you about like their kids, where they're doing. Like I got to talk to somebody who had just moved. They were living out of their parents' like side house as they had stuff in storage. They were trying to get everything done in the next month. And what you just found out is this person's telling me their whole life. I understand it. Guess what I can do? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like that's gotta be super stressful. Tell me about it. They're gonna just tell you about it. Then you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, like I actually had this happen. Was this helpful? Do you think this could help you? Bam. Now you just help them on a personal level. They like Jacob or they like you as the rep. And they're like, oh my gosh. So the reason I'm just saying that is when you're doing this, so many times I see people being like, I need to go sell. I'm the rep for this company. My friends, please, the whole conversation, get to know the person. Get to talk to the surgeon. Now, here's the whole thing. If the surgeon starts going into like talking about surgeries and the devices they've used and all this stuff, great, go with it. But what I try to do when I'm at these settings is stay away from business as long as possible. Because at a point, it will 100% transition into you talking about the business because guess what? You have to. And that kind of brings me into, you can always come into a joke with this. So like, for example, I always just like, will be like, hey doc, what got you in to medicine? have them tell you about it, and what have you seen like that's really changed? And just to ask like personal questions to get to know them. And guess what? They're going to share because they're excited to share and be like, oh my gosh, that's amazing, because you get to know the person. That's number one when you're asking these questions. But then once you get to know them a little bit more, and then if you need to transition into like, I need to start doing a little bit of selling, this is where you'd be like, hey doc, I really enjoy getting to know you. I will just be yelled at by my company if I don't bring it up for at least 2 seconds about our product and doing this. And that's how you can do it in a joking way. And that's how I've always done it. Instead of what you'll see a lot of people do is like, so doc, we sell this A, B, and C. And then it rubs them the wrong way because now you just went into a sales pitch and they're like, oh my gosh, compared to be like, doc, this has been so much fun and I want to keep just getting to know you more. But I do just have to, I'm going to get yelled at because then my company will yell at me that they'll be like, who did you take out? And did you talk about us at all? I just have to talk to you about a couple minutes. Is it okay if I just kind of learn what you're using and tell you a little bit about what we have? That's a very non-threatening way of just introing to, now you just get your guard down. Hey, we're here. We're paying for a very nice dinner. I'm having a great time. But I do have to tell you what we at least do so you can at least understand what I'm here for. They'll be like, oh, yep, no problem. And then guess what? Now you can be like, so doc, so just tell me a little bit about like why you're using what you're currently using. And then let them talk about what they're currently using and be like, what challenges have you faced or whatever it is, right? You guys are sales reps. This is what you're doing. But I'm just giving you that transition on how do you get it and to go into those questions to start digging deeper. Once you really dig deeper, you'll really find out what are they currently using? What are the objections that they're having? Are there any things that you can help with? Which if you're asking the right questions, you will be able to find those and discover those. Then you'll be able to learn what they're really looking for a good outcome. And here's the biggest kicker, my friends. If you learn all those, you learn the problems that they have, the challenges that they have, how you can help them, how you can show them needs that they probably didn't even know that they needed, then they actually like you as well because they've had a great time with you. Pretty dang strong argument of why you can go into, doc, I absolutely love this. I know we can help it. And just want to see, would we be able to get you on the books for the next 3 things so I can actually show you? I know I'm talking about we're having a great dinner, but I would love to actually show you in person and be able to actually do a surgery with you. And then you get them on the books. I'll have Jessica talk to you tomorrow, or I'll have Gary reach out to you, who's their surgery scheduler. Be like, great. And then guess what you're doing the next day? You're following up with those people. But the reason I'm just saying that is that's how you can like intro into it. And that's where I try to keep it as casual. And when I say casual, yes, you still want to be business professional, but staying away from like talking about the business the whole time and actually just getting to know the person. And then you transition a little bit into the business aspect to just get them, they've already liked it. They've had a great time. You've asked really good questions. You're very interesting. They really enjoy you. You have a product that they could use and it could help them. Bam, do the quick transition of let's get it on the books. Let's use it. Bam. And then guess what you're talk about in the OR? Business. Guess what you're going to talk about when you're doing the surgeries with the surgeon? Business. But this is them to get to know them, get them warmed up. Hey, this is great. Then transition it into, hey, can we get this on the schedule? Yes, great. Then from there, you set up other meetings outside of the dinner to really get a lot of the meat and the potatoes done. So what I'm sitting here telling you, a lot of people will be like, let's hash everything out. When was the last time you went on a family dinner or you go and see your like in-laws or you go with somebody? And like, what's better when you go out and you like have a dinner and you're like, oh, that was great. How's cousin Jerry or whatever you want to talk about, right? Talking about the things compared to when they're like, so Jacob, what have you been doing the last couple of weeks? So Jacob, what are you doing for the plan of your life? So Jake, look, see where that goes is now you start going from like, hey, we go have a dinner. I look forward to it because we're just going to go have a conversation. We're going to hang out compared to now I'm just going to get grilled. And now my gosh, now I'm working and it's 7:30 at night. Right. And so the reason I'm just saying that is that's how you can make it a non-threatening way of like, let's do some business while we're here. Let's have a great time. Let's do a little business. But then once we get in the OR, that's when it's business time. That's when I can show you everything I need to show you. But the reason I'm just saying that is I watch so many people try to sell. But like for the big deal that I was able to do, the conversation is like, we went and had that dinner. We had a good time. Everybody got to know each other. We had like a 10-minute discussion of what they were actually looking for, what this goes into. And then what did that lead to? Us setting another big meeting. That then, guess what it is? During the workday, and it's when we're all professional, and now it's business. But in that time, it's getting to know those people, see how we interact with those people, and how we can help them and hear what they need help with. And then let's set a meeting to get it going. A lot of times why I like the dinners is the dinner is the place to like get to know somebody, show that you're actually going to add value, do all those things to then set up a trial, set up a demo, set up the things that you actually need in the hospital, in the surgery, in what you're trying to do. that's when you go do the business. That's when you do all the closes, right? So the biggest close at a dinner is just like getting the next meeting or getting the next surgery booked. So then once you're in surgery, guess what? Then you can show them all the bells and whistles to your product. You can talk about pricing. You can talk about all that stuff. That can be a subdivision of your dinner, but you don't want to focus the whole dinner. And that's what I'll just sit here and tell you. I talk to a lot of reps, and when they struggle with getting deals done or doing all that, they'll be like, oh, they try to sell the whole time. Compared to get to know the person, get to know who they are. Because guess what? If you get to know the person and you get to know who they are and you get to know their background, guess what? You can learn, if you're a really good sales rep, how to sell to them. And that's what most people miss. They just try to start selling to a wall, but they don't know what that wall is made of. Compared to if you figure out who you're talking to, their background, what they're looking for, how they kind of grew up, all that stuff. Guess what? I now know some of the things that are going to actually mean a lot to them. And now I can be able to position those things in the way that it needs to be positioned if you're a good sales rep. And so that's what I just want to encourage you all. And the last thing I'll hear is, I hear this all the time. A lot of the reps that tell my people they'll never break into medical device sales is because like, I'll go have a beer with my surgeon. You'll never be able to have a beer with a surgeon because you're a girl, or whatever. Put whatever you want to put in there. Heard it a million times. We just had somebody told them, and I told them to go tell that employee or that sales rep to go fly a kite, because that's just like the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. What, like let me just be transparent. A doctor's not going to want to go have a beer with a beautiful woman. Like, okay, yeah, tell me that, Jeff, right? Like, it's just silly when people say these things. So don't take that very far. Like, if you have people tell you you can't go have a beer, yes, you want to be able to go have a beer. You want to be able to like be friends with this. But what I see a lot of reps do is they're like, I'm one of the boys. Oh, me and the surgeon are tight. We're boys. You know what I learned is you're their boy, and they'll have a beer with you and they like you till you mess up. And then guess what I watch is a lot of those boys, hey, I'm having a beer with my surgeon. You'll never be able to do it. Those boys go out and then they mess up one time, and that surgeon so pissed off. Guess what? You going out having a beer or two with them doesn't take over for you just messed up at somebody's life because you didn't do your job correctly. And maybe you're going having too many beers with the doctors to actually do your job really well. That will make somebody mad. I go have beers with my doctor all the time. I'm better than you. Great. Awesome. Cool. The reason I'm just sitting here telling you that, I see it all the time. These people just will, again, be like, oh, we have this strong relationship, but they don't actually continue to follow through, continue to get to know the person, continue to build the relationships, and be the expert that they need to be. They just rely on that, and then they're going to tell everybody else why they can't do it. So don't be that person. Actually just go take your job serious, be really good at what you do. And hopefully this was helpful for how to like differentiate doing a breakfast, a lunch, to how to actually do a dinner and have success with it. Because again, that's what I would encourage you all, is not every single division is always going to be doing a lot of dinners, but this is where dinners can come into play for certain divisions, and you can make lots of big deals from these, but you have to do it the correct way. But from my experience, a lot of people try to do the kill, or they try to do the close all in the one step instead of setting up for the success in the next step where it really comes into matter. So hope this is helpful. If you guys found any value in this, can you press that like and subscribe button? A 5-star review does help us grow this channel. If you can leave a review, that would mean the world to me. And just want you all to know, I'm here to watch you guys win. If you guys are interested in continuing to level up, you guys can reach out to me at Jacob McLaughlin on LinkedIn or any other social. Also, we're on New to Medical Device Sales on almost any other social. I want you to win. I want you to keep crushing it. If you guys are people listening to this, which is interesting. I made this for reps that are in the industry, but we've actually had people who aren't in the industry listening to this. If you're not in the industry and you want to be in the industry, we have a course that breaks people in an average of 8.2 weeks at $94,478. And we've been able, just got somebody hired in 14 days with Stryker, which is awesome. It's what we do every single day. But also what we've seen, which is really cool, is we've had associate reps and also even some full line reps that they're not making 100K, 120K. And they're like, I want to go to that next position, because what I can just sit here and tell you, we just got a 22-year-old hired as a full line sales rep at over $140,000 starting now. And that's what I would sit here and tell you, that is possible. But if you've never done it, you want to know it's possible. So feel free to reach out to us at New to Medical Device Sales or Jacob McLaughlin on LinkedIn or any other platforms. And I really appreciate you guys' time. I hope you have an awesome week. Keep crushing it. Go after your goals. Go hit quota. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.